Ladies and gentlemen, this is Scott Pollock, Chief Editor of the Critical Post Chicago Reporting. Welcome to another edition of the Goldwater Report. Thanks again for tuning us in, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate it. This edition of the Goldwater Report is coming to you live, or almost live, from the capital of the Midwest Coast, Chicago, Illinois, USA. Ladies and gentlemen, since our last few updates, which were concerning the bill introduced to Congress, H.R. 5404, to fix the dollar as a fixed weight in gold, as so printed by the Federal Reserve, we opened the discussion and waited. I took a look at the comments that were coming in as a result of what I had said. And ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you that the context seems to be that people don't like being told what they're addicted to when I made that statement in the report about H.R. 5404 in the Goldwater Report. They don't understand. People don't understand the use of money. People didn't like it. And after we opened the discussion threads, nobody wanted to discuss anything. I'm not going to take that personally. But I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it is very interesting and also a little disconcerting. Since then, several things have presented themselves to our network and team of forensic private investigators. And that's going to be coming up in the following report. It's going to be a couple of broadcasts. I've got a few things to say in terms of my opinion. But in this discussion, I will tell you, after having several discussions with the lead man over at the White Hats Report and other individuals that I talked to, after having looked at all of the various things that have been coming over the propaganda feeds, to include the channels of the official, what I call the official channels of Taint, Coast to Coast AM, and Alex Jones's InfoWars, I have come to the firm conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, that the people in this country are really not interested in governing. They're not interested in doing anything about being involved in their government other than maybe showing up at the polls and voting once in a while. Every once in a while, one of the major pundits on the airwaves, whom I listen to quite a bit, will exhort his audience to call their senators and congressmen about one thing or other, and it seems to have a small, reasonable effect, as so denoted in his conversation after such thing occurred. But other than that, the people want things done for them. People are not interested, for instance, that 5 major oil companies control all of the energy that you consume for your car and natural gas. But that's not capitalism, ladies and gentlemen. They're all cross-pollinated boards of directors. We haven't taken a look at that cross-pollination, but there are consultants in the background that consult with every single one. They call it the 5 sisters. 5 major oil companies. People aren't concerned that about 9 major food corporations that are concerned with the production of food in this country and the manufacturing of packaged products and goods, along with the meatpacking business, that basically about 9 major corporations control all the food that you eat. People aren't concerned that there's only 6 or 7 major auto companies that compete for the market in this country. People aren't concerned that there's basically been a concentration of the banks, and that there's basically 5 major banks that control most, if not all, the banking in this country. And when you have a concentration of power like this, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot possibly think that you can effectively govern by electing factional representatives from 2 major franchises whom are all in lockstep with the corporate structure that is in full league partnership with the American government emanating out of Washington, D.C. The euphemism of so-called Americans, when the press uses it, when the propaganda channels use this phrase, Americans are concerned about this, or Americans think this, or Americans think that, they're not talking about you, ladies and gentlemen. They're talking about the boardrooms of their corporate masters. Now, I agree, and I've asked the question before. Either we are for these people or against these people. I agree that we need manufacturing in order to produce goods that contribute to the affluence and the comfort of the general population for them to consume. But you cannot govern by allowing these corporations to continue to buy Washington, D.C., and I am still waiting for the President of the United States to do something about this, like he said he would. All of a sudden, that's disappeared from the radar, and everybody's using the phrase, we're draining the swamp, we're doing this, we're doing that. The President has cut some regulations, and the Congress has given him a tax cut bill, which for people, earning between, let's say $0 to $100,000 has affected their income to some degree, and from $100,000 to $250,000 has contributed to their ability to purchase more and maybe create more jobs. Those 2 major things. We hear about actions at the border, and that things are going according to the way they've been going, although their arrests are up or their arrests are down. How can anybody trust anything that is coming over the wires when the pundits and the commentators on television and radio are consumed by several narratives over the last 18 months? Not much has changed, ladies and gentlemen. And according to John Williams' shadow stats, the country is still wavering between 23 and 25% when all the numbers are accounted for unemployment. Yet, In the financial markets, they say we're below 4%, and the highest employment of Spanish-speaking people in this country, and the highest employment of the black population in this country in the history of the country, and the lowest unemployment in 50 years. When we know that the numbers are gamed, and the American people aren't concerned. They're not engaged. Ladies and gentlemen, the governments of the world and their clandestine operations and the banking institutions across the world are criminal operations fomented against the people of the world, and all governments are in collusion with each other at one level or another, and we know this because of the work that and the research that a man by the name of Dane Wigington is doing about the aerosol spraying of the skies over the world across major population centers. It's happening in every country. So we know there's collusion at one level. The governments and the banks, the major corporations that supply just about everything that matters, your water, are an enemy of the populations. Doesn't matter what country. They are there to retain their control. And you do not have an effective mechanism to do anything about it. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Because in the next broadcast, it's coming right after this one, we have a breaking story that started back in 2005. And we're resurfacing it to draw attention to it because there are actions going on in London through Interpol. Stay tuned for that report coming from the Critical Post Chicago, coming right after this. But I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the malaise of the population, the concern with the things that don't really matter in terms of all this social justice stuff. That's exactly what they want you to be concentrating on. They don't want you looking behind that curtain over there. They don't want you looking at the banks. They don't want you to see exactly how corrupt this whole thing is. It's an amazing, amazing spectacle to watch the American population continue to march like lemmings while they watch their sports and their latest favorite television shows, or stream whatever they're streaming, along with all the UFO people who are oogling the UFO community. And the stuff going on at Alex Jones and George Norrie. Everybody's concerned about their entertainment regarding all this. They're not interested in a press organization. They're not interested in governing the country. The question is, are you interested in governing the country? Those that are watching this. I'm sure that when you've gone out, tried to have a conversation about what the heck is going on in this country, you get that same response. The one-liners, this whole plethora of inventory of narrative and meme. The people in the country don't have an original thought in their heads, and they're being controlled by front-loaded, predictive analytic, opinion, consensus technology. And the linguistical structures across this country and across the world are constantly being drummed into the heads of the people of every country on the face of the globe. Stay tuned to our next report about the hashtag extradite Herzog. Again, this is Scott Pollack, Chief Editor of the Critical Post Chicago, reporting. Thanks again for watching another Goldwater report coming to you live or almost live from the capital of the Midwest Coast, Chicago, Illinois, USA. That is all.